probably didn't hear what I said. Our child didn't hear what I said. That's a big surprise. Hello, everybody. That's kind of what we do. Right as we press the button to say hello to everybody, we tell all the family, all right, everybody, we're going live, which means shh. And especially it means that for the dogs. But they're really good. We've got our dogs. I don't know if they're trained or they just naturally do this, because when they were smaller, I would always tell them, hey, you've got to go over here. And they... Getting show and tell here for later on?
Yeah.
Okay. But as soon as they hear a camera, like the little beep, whatever they hear, like if it's got anything to do with filming, they immediately get up from wherever they were, and they share a cage now because they're just always in the same one. So they just walk, click, 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 and they walk right over to their cage and they go lay down, and then they come out when everything is done. It's the most amazing thing ever, and I think it's really cool. It's very considerate of the dogs. So how about that, huh?
How about that?
How about that? We don't have a topic for tonight. We are matching shirts. Nice. Yeah, that's another story. We don't have a topic for tonight. We're going to answer your questions, and we do have a giveaway. That's going to be happening, and something new. We're doing something new for the first time ever.
How exciting.
It's true, yeah. And I feel like I'm off center. Can I move over? There we go. All right. So, yeah, and it's going to benefit, I hope, everybody. That's the whole idea. Yeah, so the shirts. I finally found my second floor aquatics, or you finally found it.
Yeah, I located it and said, this one's yours.
So I was like, sweet. And right when I was like, what am I going to wear? Because that's like a decision you have to make. What are you going to wear for the live stream? I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm going to wear my shirt. And then Joanna pops around the corner. I'm like, really? Really? So we're matching tonight. It happens sometimes.
We are sponsored tonight by Second Floor Aquatics.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Thanks for the great shirt.
It's a great shirt. It's a great design, you know?
Yeah. So that's pretty awesome. So that's the dealio there. Okay. Let's talk about, wait, hold on. We're not even close to being with that.
Oh, and did you want to know, like, as like you were saying, like what we were talking about, when it goes live, did everybody know that when you call 911, it's recording even before they answer? That's something to grow on.
What does that have to do with anything?
I don't know. It was just, I like to at the beginning of a live stream enter like a fun fact, and that's your fun fact of the week.
Okay.
Okay.
So there you go. That's a fun fact for the week. That was fun to say. Now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, yeah. So videos that happened this past week. Sunday, we did the top 5 centerpiece fish for a 55-gallon. That was fun. And then today, Wednesday, on the small scape, what did you do? What did you talk about?
I talked about a plant that I got that I had no idea it came in a mini. There you go. I was floored. And it's not historically a plant that is my friend. But
so here's my question. Are you sure it's a mini?
Yeah.
Like it's going to stay mini?
Yeah.
Because sometimes I wonder, people come up with these awesome names like, all right, I'm going to sell some small stuff and just call it mini. But then you get it after like a year, you're like, this is just as big as everything else.
Have you ever heard of Anubias nana petite?
No, what is that? Yeah, I've heard of it.
It's a miniature Anubias.
Well, I know that.
So it's similar. It's not like just a gimmick. And I don't think it's anything new. It's just new to me. Moi. So now
the plant for today.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So cool. Let's see. Tomorrow, Thursday, we'll have the members video out, and then Sunday, we will have a video on Primetime Aquatics, of course. And by the way, thank you everybody who stopped by last Saturday morning for the live stream that we did on the small scape. That was fun. Saw a lot of different names because it was the morning instead of late on a Wednesday evening, and it was a Saturday morning thing. So we'll try to do more of those. It won't be this Saturday or even the next one, but we'll try to get some of those done because I thought those were fun. Right, the Saturday morning ones are pretty fun. Yeah. So we'll try to add more this summer and certainly going into next fall. So that was the video situation. And then in terms of what we've got, where we're going to be, because we're going to be places. This Sunday, we have the Greater Chicago Cichlid Association swap. So if you're in the northern or any Midwest area, definitely check that out. Also, by the way, thank you to everybody who came out to the Quad City swap last Sunday. Another massive crowd. I didn't hear how many people they ran through those doors. Rink, I don't know, did you hear? But it seemed like as many as the swap before that, which I think they said there was like 3,000 people. Not this Sunday, but the previous swap. And I would say it had to be similar to that because it seemed like it was shoulder to shoulder, and that is a big place. So it's pretty cool. And the Quad City swap, what I like about that is they don't charge anything. So if you just want to go in and browse, there's no entry fee to get in. It's all free. And the deals there are outstanding and so much selection. Now, Quad City is done until October, and we've already signed. You don't know this, but I signed us up for the Quad City in October already. Super excited because it's funny. They ask, what will you be bringing? I mean, that's just like a standard thing, like all the swaps when you're filling out the paperwork. Like, all right, what are you going to be bringing? So people know. I'm like, in October? I just put the things that we normally would probably most likely bring. But as most of you know, you check the website about 3 or 4 days ahead of time, and that's where you're able to pre-order. Just like for the GCCA, by the way, thank you to everybody who's put pre-orders in for the GCCA this Sunday, because we've already sold out of a couple things, which is pretty cool. But we had a big selection, lots of different types of fish we're going to be bringing on Sunday. So if you're going and you haven't done your pre-orders yet, do that because things are going quickly. And then we've got, let's see, the Greenwater Aquarius Society swap is the 15th of April. 15th, right? That's a Saturday. And I don't remember exactly when. And then right after that, the GCCA meeting is on the 16th, which is a Sunday. And we've been bringing fish to those meetings available for pre-order as well, just to kind of make things more convenient for you. Lefty, thank you so much for being a prime timer, prime time partner. Welcome. It says welcome, but I know you were a prime timer at one point in your life, and welcome back. I'm glad you're here.
You're a prime timer in heart.
So, and by the way, Joanna, my lovely wife, so we were eating dinner today, and I'll give you a little bit behind the scenes. I was like, man, you know what would really be nice right now? A Diet Coke. And she's like, well, then go get yourself one. I'm like, yeah, I got to set up the live stream stuff. And I gave this heartbreaking story. And I come back and I'm setting stuff up, and she brings me this. Not a sponsor. I just want you to know that. But
not sponsored by Diet Coke.
No, wouldn't that be something? Yeah, we're bringing in the big ones now. We're not.
Oh my God.
But it's had a taste for one. So thank you for that. Let's see. So that's the where we're going to be. Plus. I don't want to forget. And by the way, if you're not following us on Instagram or Facebook, Instagram is primetime_aquatics. Facebook, I think, is primetime aquatics 1. I don't remember. But I post a lot of stuff of where we're going to be and what we're doing on those platforms, more so than like the YouTube, because I don't want to clutter up people's feeds on YouTube. I find that annoying when you're constantly, that's just me, by the way. I mean, maybe, other people are different, but I don't particularly like it when I'm subscribed to a channel. It's just constant community posts, and it's like, oh my gosh, you're cluttering up my feed with all this stuff. So when we have announcements, I will once in a while put it on YouTube community, but most of the stuff winds up on Instagram, again, primetime_aquatics, or on our Facebook, Primetime Aquatics. I think it's Primetime Aquatics 1, but don't quote me on that. I should know that, but I don't. But that's where a lot of it ends up. So we are, and I say all that because we are going to be in St. Louis at the Missouri Aquarium Society meeting. I'm going to be doing my talk on how to save money in the aquarium hobby. Seems particularly relevant in 2023 when inflation is so high. So if you're anywhere there, I mean, it doesn't cost anything to get into those meetings. And usually the clubs have a lot of cool stuff going on besides just the talk. They'll do either breeder award points things where they do raffles, or you can buy fish, some of what people bring in, to the club. So check that out. I believe that is 4/20. That's a Thursday evening. So St. Louis area. And then Aquashella, of course, is coming up. And now, it's getting real. We had a meeting last night. I'm on part of the planning committee for the booth, and there's going to be some changes. And I think you're going to really like the changes in the booth if you like to go to Aquashella. So Aquashella Dallas is May, somewhere around the 20th. It's that weekend, the weekend of the 19th, 20th, somewhere in there. I don't remember the exact dates. Again, I probably should, but I just posted something on Instagram and Facebook that gives you the exact dates. My presentation as of right now is scheduled for Sunday, so people often ask when I am speaking. It's right now, I believe I'm scheduled Sunday at 1 p.m. So that's my time slot. But I really hope to see you either in St. Louis or Aquashella would be cool, right? And of course, we got Daytona, the November the 4th and 5th, somewhere in there. So that should be really cool as well. And then I've got the Keystone Clash later in the fall. We are going to try very, very hard. It's like a 98% sure we're going to be at the ACA, the American Cichlid Association, but the weekend that they do with Cataclysm that's combined this summer, and that's in Madison, Wisconsin. Keep keeping aquatics. Anyone know when tickets for Daytona come out? I don't know. I know obviously the Dallas ones are out. And by the way, I said this last week, and it's not to be like, oh, I hope you spend more money at Aquashella. But I would say most people, when they order the VIP tickets, are happy with that decision. Yes, it costs more, but for that extra cost, you get in both days, obviously. You get them for the whole week. They give you a merch credit. You do the VIP meet and greet on, you could do it on Saturday and Sunday. There's donuts and coffee and less people. You miss the incredibly long lines that tend to form for like the early bird or even the general admission. And they have been doing, I forgot to ask this last night, and I should have, the Friday night, the last couple Aquashellas, they've been doing the Friday night meet and greet where you get to kind of hang out, have some food with all of the people. Show off the shirt. So there you go. Second floor aquatics. That's what it looks like. Pretty cool thing. Yeah. So that's the story. You got anything you want? Now you've got something you want to show off.
I do.
Because it's pretty awesome.
It's
show it off.
filled with water. This is a gift that I got at the Quad City Swap, and this is from the infamous, the one and only Dave from Iowa. He brought me a goodie. And it's beautiful. Well, yeah. Here, it's probably kind of hard to, it's very hard to see. I'm going to have to, we'll Instagram a picture. How about that? But it's hard to see. But it's like stained glass little fishies and plants. And it's so pretty. And it's actually holding my my peace lily that is recuperating from my care.
Yeah. And Dave, I'm sorry, I ate your present. It was another glass vase, and I ate it. No, I'm kidding. It was a whole bunch of goldfish crackers. And, oh my gosh,
he didn't want Jason to feel bad. So,
and
so
boy,
sweet.
I'm telling you, that like really hit the spot after having a swap. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm starving. He's like, here's some goldfish crackers. I'm like, oh yeah. I tore the bag open, and it wasn't even like the proper way.
I forgot. I was actually going to have that here for an example, so you could appreciate it.
Yeah.
There's only one way that you open up a goldfish bag. It's actually very simple to open it up real nice, because then you can close it. And he like ripped it. It was horrible.
So I disagree. There's many ways to open a goldfish cracker bag. Danica, thank you so much for being a member the last 23 months. Almost at your 2-year anniversary. Yeah. That's pretty awesome. How's it going, Prime Time? It's going well. I hope you're doing well too. So
we got snow this morning. Anybody else?
Yeah, it was crazy. Me and one of my buddies, we went for a 200-mile motorcycle ride yesterday. It was a little chilly. I'm not going to lie. My throat's kind of messed up from it, and I feel a little off after. It was kind of cold. I don't think it ever hit 50 degrees. It was when he pulled up. He's like, "Dude, I'm a little freezing," because he doesn't have heated hand grips on his bike, so he's got just thick gloves. He's like, my hands are cold. I'm like, yeah, now you know how I feel when I go to your house and it's cold in the morning, and then you're like, oh, this feels great. I'm like, yeah, because you haven't been riding for 40 minutes in the cold first. But anyway, it was a little chilly, and it warmed up a little bit in the afternoon, but still a little cold. Throat's a little bit messed up. Chris says 83 today in southern Florida. Yeah. Danikin, 65 here today. Amazing. Yeah, it was cold. Not gonna lie. So, all right, let's take. Should we take some questions? By the way, thanks Whip, and I saw Oink, and I see Dave, and I'm sure there's others here. I haven't been totally paying attention to the chat just yet, but thanks for the moderators being here. And if you've got questions, like I always say, put the @Primetime Aquatics somewhere in the question, and it will help highlight it, and we'll be able to see the questions a little bit easier. So,
Sharpie Aquatics says, looking forward to seeing you again at the GCCA on Sunday, and excited to pick up our green neons that we ordered.
Nice. Very cool.
I'm very happy for you.
I have mixed feelings with some of these tanks, and I was showing the members last week. One of the cool things about having huge volumes of fish in a tank, especially ones that school, is you see behaviors in these fish that you don't even see if you're keeping them in groups of 8, 10, 15, even 20, like, most normal people do. When you have them in, I've got 200 or 400 in this tank or 300 in this tank, you really start to understand the large schooling dynamics. And so I was showing them last week, like the green neons, they'll school, but they're kind of more spread out and kind of almost evenly distributed throughout the tank. But then you look at things like, I think it was the chili rasboras. They're pretty tight, right? They tend to stay in pretty tight groups. The Galaxy Rasbora, otherwise known as a CPD, when you've got a couple hundred of them, and again, these are temporary numbers, right? I'm not saying, put 400 chili rasboras in a 33 long, although it doesn't look overwhelmingly, crazy overstocked. It's not something I would do long term. So understand this is a short term thing, but you could still learn important information from that. And it was cool because like the Galaxy Rasboras, you kind of put your hand near the tank and they just instantly like whoosh, they basically form like a big ball and they squirrel back and forth together. The silver-tip tetras, I still think of all the fish we currently have in the fish room, have the highest potential for very, very not only tight schooling but interesting schooling motions, more so than any of the fish that we've had in our fish room. I remember first couple weeks they'd almost act like some of those saltwater fish you see in the sea where they start to do the circle, right? Mm-hmm. And they'll come in and they'll circle around. The silver tips were doing that, and there was like a few hundred of them.
It's amazing.
They would when they were so tightly schooled, and they almost looked like the Finding Nemo sort of thing, right? When they were kind of just like whoosh, 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 and then they would do the circle and spin. It was so cool. But anyway, so the point of saying all that is, it's cool to see that, and then I have mixed emotions because then as we bring them to the swaps, the numbers go down, the populations go down, which is a good thing because, like I said, long term, I don't want to be holding 450 chili rasboras in a 33 long, but
neither do they.
It's still, it's still kind of like, all right, bye. Now we're down to 3, then 200, then 100. I'm like, I got to get more because they're all gone.
Loki the ferret. Oh, what a cute little name. I had a school of 6 neon tetradi suddenly after a 15% water change. I had my water tested by my local fish store, and they said that everything was perfect. I need advice.
Wait, hold on. I was minorly freaking out because Charles said, "Ooh, diet pop is terrible for your brain." This is not something I drink very often. It's more like a treat. I mean, every other live stream you've probably seen me, it's water, right? So when I have like the coffee cups and everything, there's nothing in there but water. So this is 2 things. One, from the motorcycle ride yesterday, I am definitely groggy, and because that'll take a lot out of you, especially in the cold. So I'm not a caffeine person, but like Diet Coke will give me a ton of caffeine. Like I will feel that. I'm feeling it now, man. I'm going a little crazy. It's your boy Jason here, filled with caffeine. So it's definitely a treat. Again, I'm not huge into the artificial sweeteners and stuff like that. So I agree. So can you please repeat the question because something's going terrible with my brain. Go ahead.
All right. I had a school of 6 neon tetradi suddenly after a 15% water change. I had my water tested by my local fish store, and they said that everything was perfect. Advice.
Okay, so a couple of things can happen there. One, there are things that can wind up in tap water that are not detectable. So when you bring it to a pet store, even when you're testing it yourself, you're testing for the standard ammonia, nitrite, GH, KH, pH, right? So those, sometimes some of them have chlorine testing capabilities. But if there's anything else in the water, like some type of a metal, some type of a fertilizer component, it happens. We've found that especially after heavy rains in our area. I'm always very reluctant to do large water changes because it's happened to us now a few times where it's like, wow, we've had a lot of rain in the last couple days. In theory, it really shouldn't matter for our tap water because it's not like we're pulling it out of a well. We're not pulling it out of directly out of a river or something like that. It's going through the municipality. It's being treated the same way it's always being treated, but every once in a while, and maybe it's because maybe they're adding a little bit of extra chlorine and we don't necessarily realize that, and we do a water change. So it could be something like that. It could also be maybe if there was a temperature difference. Sometimes neons especially, that they can be a little bit weak in terms of anything that changes in a very minor way. So even if you test something like pH and you said 15% water change, but sometimes that can have an impact on pH if your KH is very low. So it's really hard to say, but it's not completely uncommon. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people here piping up in the comments section in the chat. Oh yeah, I remember I did a water change one time and I lost this fish, or I lost that fish. That's how we lost our barbs, tinfoil barbs, our ballast shark. We did a water change one time, and we lost our tinfoil barbs and our ballast shark. It was just that one tank, lost them all within probably an hour of doing the water change. Something was going on with oxygen concentration. That's the other thing too, is sometimes depending on how long the water has been in the system and where they're pulling it from, there can be lower or higher oxygen concentrations. So we lost those fast-moving, very active fish. We did another water change one time, and all of a sudden we lost a bunch of bristlenose plecos, and that was it. And we water changed like 15 tanks, and that was the only tank that got hit, and it was almost instantaneously. Same thing happened to you with some bettas, where we did water changes all day, and then something happened the next day where we did water changes on the bettas, and they didn't make it. So it does happen, and it stinks, but sometimes it's not anything you did, right? So sometimes when fish pass away, a lot of us, because we care about our fish, like, what did I do? What could I have done differently? And we should be thinking that. But sometimes there isn't something we can do, and sometimes we did the right things. It was out of our control. Emma says the chili raspberries we got from you are doing amazing with my blue dreams. Well, that's good to hear.
Yay,
that's
what
awesome.
A great combo.
Yeah, it is a great combo. You get the nice deep reds from the chilies. You got the blue dream shrimp. Very cool.
Very tiny and cool. It's a really tiny cool.
Yeah, for sure. Ken says, looking forward to so how do you say that, Ken? Is it Masi? M-A-S-I. So it's the Minnesota Aquarium Society. What does the I stand for, by the way? Because, I want to make sure I know the local lingo. So the Masi talk, I believe. I'm looking forward to it, too. It's going to be a lot of fun. Massey?
I don't know.
Me either. Lefty says, had to update card info. Glad to be back. I learned so much off this channel. Thank you both. Well, thank you. Again, we're really happy you're here.
Oh, and Charles did explain. Well, I was wondering where you were at, Charles. You were the one who wanted the live stream, and there we were. You were there.
She mentioned that, too.
I did. I was like, where's Charles?
Yeah.
But no, you were fixing your wife's vehicle, so it's all good.
Yeah.
It's totally fine. We had a great time. Just kidding.
All right, what's your opinion on natural tanks? That could be cool. Our 50-gallon lowboy, where we have all the black mollies, for the longest time, really wasn't running. Well, not really. It wasn't running a filter. I had a canister filter hooked up to that tank that pretty much was not running at all. And the only thing that was in there was an air stone. And so with natural tanks, and you look at LRB, I mean, that's most of what he does. And one of the things that I did a fish room tour of LRB Aquatics. This was a few years ago when he was still in Indiana. And one of the things that really, really stood out is normally when you walk into a fish room, including ours, there's noise there. Now, you don't hear it, hopefully you don't hear it too much on the videos, because I temporarily shut down the central air system. All the sponge filters are then turned off. I mean, it's like 15, 20 minutes. I turn off any hang-on back filters that are making noise with water. And it's like eerily quiet when I do that. Well, that was his entire house. It's like he's got all these tanks, and maybe at most he might have an air stone running in some of the tanks. And I think one of the things that we have to be reminded of, because we're constantly, sold this idea that we have to have all these different filters and all this different type of media. And the truth of the matter is, once your aquarium, as long as there's sufficient oxygen, and or your tank is very lightly stocked, and you've got a lot of plants, you've got a well-balanced ecosystem, these big filters are generally not necessary. Now, of course, they are if you've got a bunch of cichlids, heavily overstocked tanks for whatever reason, and you're just trying to keep up with water clarity and get some water movement in there to really maximize surface area for beneficial bacteria. But if you're stocking tanks fairly lightly, like LRB would do, like even that 50-gallon lowboy that we did, we actually had quite a few mollies in that tank. We had some bristlenose plecos, we had a few other fish, but there's a lot of plants. It was only a 10-inch tank. Huge surface area, so a lot of surface area for gas and CO2 exchange, and one little air stone right in the center. And we ran it that way for probably a couple years. And now we've got a couple of hang-on backs, and it's mostly just because I want stuff getting sucked up, mechanical filtration. It really has nothing to do with biological.
Tyler says, my boy Jason, it's you.
It's your boy Jason coming at you live here on a Wednesday night.
All right. So, anyways, Tyler
She
picked up.
hates that. She really does.
Tyler picked up a used 33-gallon Fluval bow front.
Oh, cool.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Loved the punkfish short. Recommendations for plants and substrates.
For caudal punks or just in general?
No, I think it might be two separate thoughts. Picked up a
Okay.
used
Well, first
33-gallon. And
Yeah,
then
thank you. Yeah, the caudal punks are awesome. Neolampologus caudal
They're very
punctatus. It's a
punky.
Lake Tanganyikan. It's a small rock-dwelling cichlid from Lake Tanganyika. I love them. And all right, so I'll do the substrate. You do the plants.
sure.
You want to do that, or you want to just speak to all of it?
Well, you're probably going to say the same substrate, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm a big fan of doing some type of sand. I like darker substrate just because the vast majority of community fish show off better color when there's a darker environment, like darker substrate, darker background. But some fish would definitely show off a little bit better with lighter, but I think that's more the exception than the rule. I like sand because it's more versatile, right? And I've said this a million times. There's not a lot of fish where you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you put sand in that tank. Those fish really prefer gravel, right? But there are a lot of fish that you keep where you're like, oh wow, you got gravel in that tank. Okay, that's interesting. But these fish really kind of prefer sand. So a lot of your bottom dwellers would probably do better with sand. Some of your cichlids like Geophagus. So that's kind of where I'm at now. I think most of the tanks, if we set them up, I probably wouldn't use gravel in most of them. Okay, so plants in your 33?
Which is really great because he used to always use gravel, and that's what I've inherited in my tanks, gravel.
Yes, you did.
So plants, so it's kind of similar to our bow front. I would say crypts would be a great choice. It would fill up very nicely after a while. And I would even maybe do some bigger Anubias. That would be pretty cool.
So 33, we've got a 23. So 33, I still like in the background.
Veil.
Yeah, the Val's good, but the water wisteria because it's got a thicker, fuller situation going on there in the back. And I always float it. So I always float it because I found when I try to plant it or even glue it, the stems would rot and then they would just wind up floating anyway.
I would do Bacopa.
That'd be cool.
Bacopa or even Dwarfambulia would actually, that might be kind of cool too. It depends what kind of driftwood and rocks you're using too.
Yep.
Oh, so many decisions.
What brings up a good point.
Does he now?
Your filters and plumbing don't do nearly as well with sand. That is, you have to be really careful with sand that you're not sucking it up and it's not going into your pipes and all that stuff. And
True.
Filters, if you've got small fish, it doesn't matter. But if you've got anything that's going to dig or stir things up, like a lot of our Mbuna and all that stuff, and even our bristlenose plecos, it's not a bad idea to put a pre-filter intake sponge on that intake just to make sure your canister filters, your hang-on backs aren't sucking up sand. We've had pretty good luck. The filters that basically seem to just run right through no matter what are the Marineland Pros, the Aqueon Quiet Flows, and the Seachems. Just absolutely don't care about the sand for the most part because I've got them in with Mbuna and bristlenose and they constantly are stirring stuff up, and the shell dwellers. And then we've had some filters where it was like, sand, this is horrible. I can't believe you did this to me. Julia, thank you so much for becoming a prime timer. Appreciate you being here. Hope you enjoy the experience.
Tom says, good evening, guys. A fellow Schaumburg Boomers fan here.
What's up? Well, we'll be seeing you probably there.
Yeah.
You can look out for us because we plan, although we were torn a little bit, minorly, when we were looking forward to going to opening weekend.
Oh, yeah.
For the Boomers, which is like a minor league baseball team that we just absolutely love. And their opening weekend, want to guess when that is? May 19th, 20th, and 21st.
You got it.
Guess what else I just said was in May? Aquashella, Dallas. So we'll be there, and we're going to miss opening weekend, but we'll make up for it with all the other games we plan to go to. So
True.
Yeah.
Do we know the venue for Daytona yet? No, right?
I do not know that, no. But I'm sure it'll be awesome because they usually spend some time doing that. Midwest Aquatics has been a member for a month. Thank you for being here this last month. Yay. Can I put Discus, Electric Blue Acara, and Geophagus Heckelii in a 125-gallon together? Probably. I don't see why not. You're dealing with three fish that are not terribly aggressive. The Heckelai, we've had those in 75 gallons with like Severums and stuff, and they, for the most part, got along. Electric Blue Acara. I mean, like, you always run the risk of getting some cichlids with some screws loose in their head. And I tell you, okay, the Heckelai and the Electric Blue Acara are relatively mellow. And then there's going to be someone's like, oh yeah, my Electric Blue Acara killed everything in the tank. So it does happen. But it would be a combination that I wouldn't necessarily hesitate. The only thing you have to be somewhat kind of careful with is your temperatures. You know, what are you going to settle on with your temps? For your discus, are you going to be running 84, 85? Your Heckelai will be fine. Your Electric Blue Acara should be okay with. That's getting a little bit warm for them. So just keep that in mind. Julia, did I already thank Julia for becoming a prime timer?
I think so.
I think so too.
Mm-hmm.
It might be this Diet Coke in my brain.
Oh,
Charles, you're
geez.
really freaking me out with this now. It's going to happen
Well,
to me.
diet pop really isn't good for anything.
And I don't, like I said, usually it's. I also just don't like the bunch of sugar. So if I'm going to have a treat.
Yeah, but regular sugar's definitely better for you.
Well, not when it's. Yeah,
and
you're probably right.
even for diabetic,
Yeah.
like effects, it's the same.
But
Your body
Charles had a
doesn't know
better
the difference.
suggestion. He said, hit the like button, folks. Over 240 in here and less than 40
Sure.
likes.
Do it.
So Charles has given us good information. He's making me freak out about my brain. And he likes the like button. So it's a well-rounded individual right there. That's my opinion.
Julia says, absolutely love Primetime Aquatics in the small scale. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
I have a 6.5 gallon cube. Sweet, because that's about the size that I need. Just saying. I just really want one. And I've been trying to figure out what to stock it with. Any suggestions? Well, I don't believe she is here today, but Noelle has a cube similarly sized. And what does she have in there? Green Kupatai?
Well, I like that. She go all the minis, right?
Well,
Dwarf, Rasbora, Chili Rasbora, Mira Rasbora. You could
Sure.
do a half
Shrimp.
a dozen, 6 to 8. Again, it seems like, oh my gosh, you're saying put 6 to 8 fish in a 6.5 gallon cube. Aren't they going to be packed? No. Can you see the fish in? Well, you can't because Joanna's head is in the way. But trust me, this is an 8.3. And the Heterogander formosa, the Florida least
they're
killifish.
super tiny.
There's like in all of these tanks, believe it or not, there's at least 8 to 10 fish in every one of these tanks. Can you see them swimming around? Not really. The biggest ones is right here behind me. These are the white clouds, and even those. I mean, when you really look at it, it's like, wow, that's not all that crazy. So I would go with the smaller Dwarf Rasbora, Mira, Chili,
And shrimp.
and shrimp. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
That would be
Good
super
one.
fun. Yeah.
For sure. That would be a great idea. When I saw something that I wanted to answer, and I lost it.
Cheryl says, I'm right about the soda. Unfortunately, I'm personally associated to Diet Coke. Yeah, I know. It's really fun.
We had a friend for a while that was all she drank.
Diet
she'd
Pepsi.
suck that stuff down by the
Diet
gallon.
Pepsi.
Yeah.
Like
And then she get off?
Yeah, she got off the stuff.
She got off of it.
So, now, personally, coffee is good for you, and I drink it all day because it is good for you.
No, it's
Just
not.
saying. It's better than other stuff.
Catherine's got a very random question. I like that. Joanna, what's your favorite color? Like accent color to wear. There you go.
Mint green is my favorite. It's between like a mint green and like a powder blue sort of anything, which is tragic. Why?
Well, because on the way to Quad City, so we had to take 2 cars because it's getting to the point where I can't fit everything. It's the fish, right? So we have to keep the fish warm, and I can only fit 4 big totes in the truck, like my back seat of the truck, before I have to start moving other. What? Right, so I'm space. So anyway, she had to take her car as well. So she's driving behind me, and we're driving by towards Quad City, Davenport. I look over on this car carrier, and there's a Jeep Gladiator and a 4-door Wrangler, and they were both like not this color, but a
Close
darker
enough.
version.
It was like
And the first thing I thought is, oh my gosh,
Bluish
we're going to
gray.
go broke because she's going to want one of these things.
I used
was
to
about
have
to
one.
call her on the telephone and
Oh,
say,
I
hey,
was
did you
about
see that?
I was about ready to hang back and start taking pictures of it because I was love. I
First
used to
thing.
have one. I
Yeah.
used to have a Wrangler, and I gave it up to get more economical view or a more better vehicle to tote my dad because it was jacked up, you know, and it was hard for my dad to get in and out of it. But
first thing she says at this, when we get out of the car at the parking lot at Quad, did you see that Jeep Gladiator in the regular? I'm like, yes, I did.
It's called Earl.
And guess what she's been doing now Earl. For 3 straight days, looking it all up.
So, yes, anyways, nice little question. And what's your favorite color?
Philly 215, thank you so much for the super chat. Hi, blessings from Philly. Quick question. Do I have to go RO to stop brown algae diatoms? Weekly maintenance, feed every other day isn't helping. Thanks in advance. Not necessarily. I think the way that we control all of our brown algae diatoms is a multi-pronged approach. So lights control how much light is, the duration of the light. Like I said, we always go 2.5 hours in the morning, 6.5 hours at night. We like the lights to be on when we're going to be around. Intensity. So if you've got lights that you're able to turn down, if you basically are someone who's like, oh, I've got Anubias and I've got Crips and low light stuff, Java Moss, you don't need super bright lights for that. And so the plants that got more than enough light, and then there's just extra light there for the algae to grow. So you've got light duration, light intensity. If you don't have plants at all, I mean, you could really, for a while at least, turn down the duration of the light and feed just, have them on a couple hours at night, a couple hours in the morning while you're feeding, and see if that helps. Obviously, water changes are big. Trying to keep the nitrates to 20 parts per million or less is huge, because that's the main thing that we track, because it's easy, but that's also keeping your phosphates in check and everything else that the algae would need to consume. The next thing is, okay, well, once we do those things that we can control, then what about adding in something that's going to eat the algae? So your bristlenose plecos, your clown plecos, mystery snails, depending on the types of fish that you have in the tank. So all of those things could be potentially helpful. And then if you don't have plants, or the plants that you have are very slow growing, you could try adding in plants that grow fast, like hornwort or guppy grass, water wisteria, water sprite, that's going to compete with the algae for nutrients and hopefully keep that at bay. So that's kind of how we handle it. So the answer is no, you don't have to go RO water to stop brown algae, because the other issue is if you start using RO water and you've never done that before, what's going to happen to the fish? Because now you are lowering your GH, you're lowering your KH, by lowering your KH, your pH might become less stable. And while you might control brown algae, you could introduce a lot of other issues to your ecosystem.
Charles agrees with me. Coffee is good for you. It does have antioxidants, and the grounds you can use as fertilizer.
I don't like it.
Take that. No, he doesn't like it. Doesn't like the smell of it or anything, which is tragic because it's a major part of life and the love of life. Cheryl, hi. To answer your question, I drink it black. Although if I am, like, every once in a while, I will have like a latte or a chai latte or a green tea latte. But yeah, generally straight. Get the, right to the bloodstream. That's a coffee joke.
Yeah. Emma, thank you so much for becoming a prime timer. Glad you're here. Dragon's been a member for a month as well. Thank you. How many chili reservoirs can I fit in a 4-foot, 38-gallon with 14 coolie loaches planted, 3 filters? 4-foot tank. So just to make the chili reservoirs have an impact on the tank, 50. Again, it sounds like a lot until you realize how small those fish really are. And it's not just that they're small so much lengthwise, they tend to be skinnier fish. So I would definitely put 50 in that tank, just because I think you'd get a nice, I was talking earlier about that schooling behavior and that the way they behave in larger groups. Now, again, I'm saying 50, but if you've also got a bunch of other fish in there already, I know you mentioned the 14 coolie loaches, but that is not going to look, believe me, it's not going to look as nearly as crowded as one might think because they're so small. Jennifer, buy a minivan, guys. All right, so here, you have no idea. You all, I need your help. Okay, we're just going to include everybody in this situation.
Sure.
With these swaps, it's not just the fish. So we've got, for those of you who've been to the swaps or seen pictures, we have the 2 large banners. Those banners are with the ends extended, I believe they're about 7 feet long, right? So I have to kind of turn them because I've got a 6.5-foot bed in the back of my truck that's covered. I'm using a lot of hand motions today.
Yeah.
We have 4 to 6 fish totes, like the big 27-gallon totes. We've got 2 33 gallon totes that house all of our shirts that we bring. We have a wagon with another 27-gallon tote full of rocks. We've got all kinds of stuff. So it's not just the fish. I have been looking, and Joanna will tell you, probably for the last 6 months, diligently trying to figure this out. I have gone in circles from minivans to cargo vans, and then I would just have some other kind of car to ride in. 8-foot bed trucks with a larger back seat. I've looked at the Yukon XL, the Suburban, the Expedition Max, literally everything. And I'm trying to figure out what is going to make the most sense. And one of the options is to just continue taking 2 cars, because quad, yeah, that's a bit rough, because that's a couple hundred miles. What was it, like 160 miles one way? The other swaps are close enough. They're not close, but they're close enough where it's like, all right, well, we had to take 2 cars, big deal. But I try. So to answer your question, the minivan, I did look at it. Right, I looked at the Honda Odyssey, which has more. I can tell you right now. Here, you want to know how serious I am about this? The Yukon XL has 242 cubic feet of storage. The Expedition Max has about 220. The Honda Odyssey is right there. It has the most cargo space of any minivan, and the Sienna is second because the back seats are not removable, the second row, like the Honda Odyssey. Therefore, the Sienna has around 200 and something, like low 200s in cubic square feet. Trust me when I tell you, when I've been studying this, I've been studying.
Yeah, he's a real nerd.
Yeah, and I love the idea of having a cargo van, just like the small Ford Transit Connect. Like nothing, I don't need a big, huge one, but
the big
then it's
fish
like, all right,
on the
well, now
side.
this thing, how often am I using it? Is it worth the money to have it? Yeah. Charles said, the extra videos are so worth it, Emma. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad you feel that way.
Tabitha asks, do green neon tetras school together when in a community tank with other fish? It depends probably how big your tank is and how many of them you have.
Yeah.
That would be my guess, because I have a very small little group, and they don't do a whole lot of, I don't know if you'd call it schooling or more like poking.
It's a light shoal. It's a light shoal.
Poke
You'll
around
see them
together.
in groups, but not necessarily where they're going to be swimming in unison together, right? They'll hang out close to one another, but in my opinion, the real, if you're looking for fish that are really going to stay tight together, a lot of the rasboras, like I mentioned, will often do that.
Although black neons do.
Black neons stay together, yes, more. But
more
the black
than green
neons are not
neons.
super active either. Well, I guess neither are the rasboras. Like in terms of just constantly swimming. The silver tip tetras are great, but also a lot of this depends on the size, not the size, but the shape of your tank. So if you've got a cylinder tank, they're just going to be schooling together almost nonstop, and you'll see that they just circles all day long. Like, that's just great. We're going somewhere. Even a hexagon would lend more to that, but when you've got a rectangular or cube tank, it's not going to happen as much. Chris, thank you so much for becoming a prime timer. Appreciate that. Let's see here. Hold on, I saw something.
Guess who's here?
What? Who?
Go down.
You go.
Well, no, you don't want to be surprised. It's a name. Well, I mean, like, name that you might not have seen for a little while.
All right.
Go ahead.
Hold on. First, Michael, thank you for becoming a prime timer. We're getting a lot of cool people here to hang out with us. Oh, you're all cool. Hold on. Emma doesn't like the smell of coffee. I'm sorry. I just don't. I can't handle it. I can't.
It's one of the first things. I walked into a Starbucks,
oh my gosh,
and I'm like,
I am really slacking off. This thing is like way down. No way. Miss Grumps, are you for real? You're here? You're here? Oh my gosh, you guys don't understand. For those of you who are newer to the family, Miss Grumps has been with us since the early days. I mean, the early days. Thank you so much.
Back in like the 1800s.
I am very happy to see you back. Again, a lot of you, we've said this before, but if you're someone who, we're constantly seeing your name in comment sections on videos or here at the live streams.
It may take us a while because we are old.
Yeah, I mean, we notice this stuff. And, oh, Miss Grumps, I'm so happy. I'm happy you're here. That's really awesome. Thank you for being here. Hope all is well and that
that's
you're
so nice. And
Doing well?
And a super chat on top of it.
Thank you.
Goodness.
Brian, thank you so much for the super chat. I'm getting a 90-gallon tank. That's cool. I'm thinking of Firemouth cichlids, electric blue acara, electric blue Jack Dempsey. How many would you suggest of each? So
it's going to be a pretty tank.
yeah. Firemouth, electric blue acara. So may I make a minor suggestion or a comment, if I may? Electric blue Jack Dempsey are insanely awesome looking, and when you see pictures, they are mind-numbingly beautiful. My experience, and I've asked a lot of people, and they've had a similar experience, but not everyone has had this experience. The electric blue Jack Dempsey, whatever's happening when they cross the electric blue Jack Dempsey gene, because what gives rise to electric blue Jack Dempseys is a fish that has the gene but looks like the standard electric or standard Jack Dempsey. Whatever is happening in that process, I am not convinced that's not really a hybrid, but that mix of genes is working and is completely stable. I think it's introducing a lot of other issues with many times with that fish. And what I mean by that is, and it's not always something you see right away. The small ones that are about an inch and a half, they often look okay. But what I have found is they don't live very long. They start getting these completely Frankenstein-like messed up bodies, like bent spines. And I'm not just talking about like the bent spine that goes this way, but they're crooked in one direction or the other, or something happens with their eyes, or their jaw starts going all weird looking in it. I mean, they'll start, like some of the fins will start being deformed. It's just the weirdest thing. And I have never, ever in my life gotten an electric blue Jack Dempsey past maybe 2.5 inches before it dies. So I say all that. Maybe it's just in the Midwest for the longest time there was really bad genetics going on. In other parts of the United States or other parts of the world, it's okay. I don't know. That could very well be the case. But I'd be very careful with that fish because they have been very delicate. Firemouths are cool. Electric blue acara are awesome. The other thing too is the electric blue Jack Dempsey, I don't think is as aggressive as the standard, but it's still probably going to be more so than the other two. But you could get a really cool combination with firemouths and electric blues. Now, the question is how many? That's an interesting question. A 90-gallon is the same footprint as a 75. It's just a little bit taller. That's not necessarily going to help you spread out that aggression because those fish are going to want to have some area mid and lower. If they start breeding, they're going to be a little bit rougher on one another. If you're really interested in that, what I would say is you're probably going to want to buy them small, so around an inch or so, maybe do 4 to 6 of each, see how things work, but know in your heart and in your mind, you may have to move fish out, maybe take them back to a pet store, move them to a different tank, sell them. When things start to happen as they mature, maybe you get a breeding pair of each and they're like, okay, we're cool as long as we each have our side, but I don't have the space for 4 firemouths and 4 electric blue acara. So I might start with 4 to 6, but also knowing that I might have to move some as they get larger. The reason why I also say buy them small is I have found that fish tend to figure things out a little bit easier when they've grown up together. It's a weird thing. And I don't know if I've ever really fully articulated this before, so I'm going to try for the first time ever. When fish are small, especially cichlids, and they're figuring things out as they go from juvenile to young adult, they tend to be less aggressive with one another, and they tend to pick up on one another's spatial requirements, if you will. And it's not just cichlids, it's many types of fish. And so that process tends to happen in a less aggressive way, not all the time, but sometimes, at least that's what I've experienced. When you buy them large and you throw them in a tank as just full-on adults that are at breeding size, they may respond to one another very much more aggressively. And that's what I found from time to time. And so that's why I usually recommend if you're going to start a cichlid tank of any kind, start them as juveniles so that hopefully they figure things out. And maybe you have, instead of removing, oh my gosh, I bought 5 adults of each and now I'm down to 1 of each, or even worse, the groups, you might have to remove less of them, or they just figure things out a little bit easier. So that is my philosophy.
Robin brings up actually a really good point. To make fish school, have a centerpiece fish large. like an angelfish tends to move my green neons and emerald eyes.
Yeah, that's a good point. I have found that to be true in our 75 gallon with our snakeskin barbs, which I find, by the way, if you're looking for a fish that likes to really stay together, at least what's happened for us in our 75 gallon is the snakeskin barb. And a lot of barbs for that matter, tiger barbs will do the same thing. I just find them to be too thin, to be too rough on one another. But the snakeskin barbs, we've got a couple of Geophagus dicrosauster in there that they're not very big, but they will, the snakeskin barbs tend to just kind of, and not very active, but they'll just kind of slowly move around together, which is pretty cool. And Miss Grumps is now a prime time partner. Thank you. Glad you're here. Glad you're hanging out with us. So you got to tell us, what's the fish situation like lately? Are you tanks and fish?
What you got? What's new?
Yeah.
What's fun?
Yeah.
Zeke says, hello, new sub here.
Thank you. Glad you're here.
I'm new to the game, started with 10 gallon full of glowfish, upgraded to 29 gallon, now looking into possibly 65 gallon and getting into cichlids.
Nice.
Welcome to MTS.
Gallon. Yeah, 65 gallons is a good tank for that. So you've got a lot of options. You've got your dwarf cichlids from South Central America, which are your pistos, your rams. You've got checkerboard cichlids, crebensis. I'm just talking about some of the easier ones. Even like the jewel cichlids, the firemouth cichlids that we were just talking about. Then you can go African cichlid with all your Lake Tanganyikans, with the exception of frontosa and maybe some of your feather fins. You could do an Mbuna tank with a 65 gallon. So you've got a lot of options there. That's very cool. I think.
Is it time?
Yeah, it's time. I do. Yeah. Miss Grumps, LOL, all dead, left for work, came back to nothing. Oh, that's sad. All right, well, we're going to start it all up again. It's going to be awesome. You're going to have a blank slate, a clean slate, and now it's time to reform all the wonderfulness, because Miss Grumps had some cool tanks. All right, we're going to do a giveaway. Now, hold on, I got to type this in. Hold on, give me a second. Okay, so here's the deal. The giveaway tonight, I'm actually mixing some of our channel sponsors. So the first one, and this is something that I'm going to talk about in a minute. It's something new that we're adding. So first thing is we've got what kind of wood is this? We've got 3 pieces of wood. This would be really good for, like, let's say a 10 gallon. I mean, if you throw this in a 75 gallon, it's probably not going to, overwhelm you with aquascape unless they're accent pieces. But what kind of wood is this?
NECA. That's NECA wood. I love it.
So this is from Flip Aquatics, and Flip Aquatics is one of our channel sponsors. They do all kinds of nano fish and shrimp and all kinds of cool stuff, as well as a lot of hardscaping things, plants, a lot of plants, and a lot of hard goods, hardscaping. And so this came from Flip Aquatics. Now you're getting these are 3 separate pieces, but I'm kind of holding them together the way I would do it, because watching us all the time. Uh-oh, did we lose? Hold on. I want to make sure we're still here. Reconnection successful. So hold on, I think we momentarily got disconnected here. So, all right, we're back. Hopefully this doesn't start again, because this is not the time this can be starting.
That would be horrible.
So anyway, what I was saying is I've been talking with Flip Aquatics, trying to figure out, okay, how can we best serve the most viewers that we have? And they said, we worked it out. It's like, what if we did, when we're showing this stuff off, yes, it's cool when you win, but what if we had a discount code? And so in the description of the live stream, and I'm putting it right here, for those of you who don't win, there is going to be a code that is good for this week only. Okay, so it expires Sunday at midnight. It is Primetime Wood 15. And so with that code, if you go in, and it's just good for the driftwood type stuff, from what I understand. If you go into Flip Aquatics and you like their wood or whatever, the wood products that they have, you can type that in when you're checking out Primetime Wood 15, and you get 15% off your order. So yeah, that's the code. Flip Aquatics. Rob made that code. I didn't make the code. So this is what the winner is getting, and then all of you are winners because you get the code.
Makes me want to escape
yes.
right now.
So here's what we're going to do. Now this is going to be a little bit different for the driftwood that we have here today, and that is the winner of the driftwood. Here's what you got to do. Are we ready? So first of all, you got to be on live chat, and that's something Joanna always says, because there's 2 different types of chat settings. One of them is live chat. The other one is like top chat, and then if you're in live chat, it'll show everything in sequential order.
So you have to click those little lines, and then
Yeah.
don't choose top messages. You have to click on all messages.
All messages, yeah. Now, here's what we're going to do. Are you ready? Are you ready? Got your typing fingers ready? The first person who tells me at least one of the fish that we featured on Sunday's video is the winner. Go. First person who tells me at least one of the fish that we featured in Sunday's video, this past Sunday.
Bonus points if it's one of my picks.
Let's see here. Is this true? Is Lucas true? Hold on. We can just stop. It's already over. Right? That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're done. That was really, really quick. Really quick. So, for those of you who don't know, Sunday's video was the top 5 centerpiece fish for a 55-gallon aquarium. And, Adam, you were so close with quadlotl pumnix. That was a good guess. I'm actually having a fun time
sounds
here.
really cool.
Betta was like kubatai. Rio was like rasboras. Whips World tetras. That was a great one. But there was a person. Actually, there's a few people who got it. Vertebrate. Thanks, African orchid. That was awesome. But there were some people who got the right answer.
Woo!
Now, the person who got the right answer first was Lucas. Lucas Oro. He said Geophagus. Nice job. So, Lucas, here's what you're going to do. To get those 3 wonderful pieces of wood, you are going to send an email to Primetime Giveaway.
Singular.
Primetime Giveaway at yahoo.com. Send us your mailing address, and we'll get that stuff in a box and get it to you so you can aquascape your 10,000-gallon tank with those bad boys. And, yeah, it's going to be awesome. But, again, for everybody else, you're a winner, too. So if you like driftwood and you want a deal, go to flipaquatics.com. Again, their website is in the description of this live stream, along with just a reminder for the promo code in case you lose it in the chat. It is there as well. And that code, again, is good until the end of the week. So I believe it shuts off Sunday at midnight. So you've got all week to use it, to think about it. But, yeah, there were some people who got this right. I mean, it wasn't just Lucas. We got Julie. Julie got it right. Tabitha said angelfish. That was correct. Edwin said gourami. That was also correct. Because where was it? Did we say gourami?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was the pearl gourami.
Pearl gourami.
So nice job for those of you who were remembering the things. I mean, I'm impressed because you know me. Half the time I'm at the beginning of the video, I'm talking about stuff that, hey, this is what we did last week. And I can't even remember the video I put out last Sunday. And you guys are remembering the fish from it. So thank you for that.
Amazing.
Yeah. Nathan, I don't feel like a winner. Well, when you go to flipaquatics.com and you type in Primetime Wood 15, you get 15% off your order. Yep. You're going to feel like a winner.
Go Berkeley, 15% off.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. You know what I just realized?
Yeah, I know. That's why I turned it so you could see it.
Yeah, oh well. Well, looks like we're doing another giveaway next week, everybody.
Yay!
Because I forgot one of the giveaway things. So next week we're doing another one. Now, one thing real quick, and I always say this. If you had a question before the giveaway thing started, ask it again, because we start losing our ability to see further up in the chat once all the people start entering in their things. So just make sure, if you had a question, let's go ahead and re-ask it again. There's more questions here now because there wasn't like a guessing numbers thing, which was really hard to, because a lot of people type in the number and it goes crazy. But it wasn't quite as bad because people had the thing like, oh, wait a minute. Let me go back into the video real quick. Type in the thing. Look at the thumbnail. Some of you tried to cheat. I know what you were doing. I'm a teacher, you know.
Speaking of centerpiece fish.
Yeah.
You ready?
Nope.
It's from Jonathan. I have 5 cherry barbs and 4 albino cories in a 25-gallon. Any ideas for centerpiece?
Oh, heck yeah, I got ideas. You got the honey gourami. You could put in a nice little group of 4 to 6. You've got the dwarf gourami. You have the peacock gudgeon. What else? You could, cherry barbs. You could try betta. A female betta would probably be a safer option. I mean, again, it could be a little bit, touch your goal with the betta, especially a long-finned male, but I wouldn't hesitate to put a betta in a 25. That would be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
What else? You got anything you would, I'm trying to think of what else
Crib.
I would put in there. What's that?
Crib.
Crib. Oh, cribensis. I'm like, I thought you said crib. I'm like, He said centerpiece fish, not centerpiece plant. Yeah, oh, absolutely. So you got your Carbensis, your rams, your Apistogramma,
Then what
checkerboard cichlids.
oh my gosh, why do I always forget their names? The ones that I kicked out with
Oh,
my pea
Nanochromis.
puffers, yeah.
Yeah, Nanochromis splendens.
They're pretty.
That's a really, really, really pretty fish. Yeah, you got some options there. All of those that we just spouted out are pretty cool. Okay, let's see here. Emma, my memory is way too bad to have remembered that. Yeah, so was mine, because as the names are coming back in, I'm like, wait, what fish did we highlight in that video? Yeah. Yeah, I know the feeling. I know it. Hold on, now the whole chat situation just skipped around all crazy like. And I feel like I missed some things. Michael, thank you so much for becoming a prime timer, primate, prime time partner. Appreciate that. Thanks for being here.
Oh, Lucas. Hi, Lucas. He's my Formosa buddy.
Okay.
Is the lady who goes with you to the swap Joanna's sister? Yes, that's my twin sister, Deanna. She helps me sometimes.
Yep, sometimes we bring her along, especially with the Quad City, because there's it gets so crazy busy there.
Yeah, she's amazing.
And is she going to the GCCA this weekend?
I don't know.
Maybe.
But it's pretty amazing. All I had to do was basically stand in between you guys.
Yeah.
And you both gave out change and stuff.
Yeah, it really helped because we have two, especially at Quad, there's 2 8-foot tables and a bunch of bags of fish. We got the shirts, we got all the pre-orders, and so having that extra person there really helps move things along. Which is Fish Fan 20 gallon long. What's up?
Hey.
Daryl says, yo.
That's funny.
Is that the one? Oh, I have 6 baby cherry barbs born in my 20-gallon community tank. It's all because of your encouragement. Thank you. I'm glad. That's awesome.
Yay for
There's nothing
fish
better than little fish
babies.
babies. I don't care what kind of fish it is, how many times you've bred a fish.
That's right.
It's awesome. It's awesome. It says, we have a pair of yellow lab cichlids, have some fry, 4 survived. One of them is white with black bar. Thoughts? White with black bar. So I used to breed white lab cichlids. They're not nearly as popular in the hobby, but that kind of sounds somewhat like maybe they're at some point in that lineage. There could have been some white labs mixed in, because that will sometimes they'll look like that. Although I did have yellow labs. Yeah, I've had yellow labs throw out occasional white labs before. Not albinos, right? They're not albino, but they are white, and they get like, as they grow, they'll be white and they'll get like kind of like a bluish, purplish undertone with the black dorsal. They're really cool. So I actually like it when that happens. But nice. It's a lab, but usually we just call them white labs. Kenrick, thank you so much for the super chat. Any chance at all that Star Sapphire cichlid and Starry Night cichlid could coexist? I wouldn't do it, man. I personally just wouldn't do it. They're both amazing fish. So the Star Sapphire cichlid, we've bred those in our fish room. I did a species profile on that fish. In fact, it's funny you mention that, because there's a YouTube short coming out in the next week over the Star Sapphire cichlid. Really pretty African cichlid, and good for peacock hap tanks, fairly large. It gets around 6 inches or so, the males do at least, and they get blue and they get all these white spots, like white flecks of, it almost looks like, imagine you had a blue fish and you were painting a wall, and you know how sometimes you get like the white paint spots on you? That's kind of what that fish looks like. The Starry Night cichlid is a Madagascar cichlid, gets larger, black fish, white spots, but that fish is pretty darn aggressive. So my guess would be, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, my guess would be as those fish mature, that Starry Night cichlid is going to probably beat up on the Star Sapphire cichlid in time. And so I would be a little bit hesitant, but you could try it. It's just, that could be a rough one.
Dave from Iowa.
What's up?
How many shrimp would you recommend putting in a 60-gallon breeder? I'm planning to go with blue velvet. Oh, that's going to be pretty. Oh, can you imagine 60-gallon?
Is it a shrimp only, or is it? I mean, even if it's not, as long as you got shrimp-friendly fish.
Who else you got in there, Dave?
So, how many? Start with, the thing is if you are planning to have them breed in a tank, you don't need to spend a ton of money. Yeah, if you start out with 10 to 20, it might not look like a lot at first, but they will breed, provided that there are not fish in there that are going to pick them off. And so your shrimp safe fish we've mentioned already in this live stream, which are your dwarf rasbora, your chili rasboras, your mira rasboras, these really small types of fish. But if you start with 10 to 20, they're going to breed. And the nice thing, at least in my experience with like our blue dream shrimp, they've always bred true. Unlike the red cherry shrimp or the oranges or the yellows we've had, where they kind of, if you don't cull, they devolve into this brown sort of situation going on, like the brown color. The blue dreams for us have always bred very true and have stayed a really beautiful blue. Now, the other thing I would say is this is the one time, not the one time, but one of the times where if you're going to have the blue dream shrimp, if you do keep the substrate darker and the background darker, they're just a little bit harder to see. I made the big mistake one time of, what did we have, the black rose shrimp, Neocaridina? And I chucked them in a tank just temporarily. I put them in a 10-gallon quarantine tank. They had a black background and black gravel. Guess what I never saw with those shrimp? And unfortunately, Eli, when he was doing tanks, never saw them either. I'm pretty sure he sucked up most of them, because I went in there at one point, I'm like, I only see one of them. It was clinging to a sponge filter, probably for its life. Like, man, there was a big giant thing that came in and sucked up all my friends.
Gosh,
I forgot to tell Eli there were black rose shrimp in there. Yeah. Oh. So, anyway, yeah, 10 to 20. It'll be cool.
Noel's here.
Noel, what's up? What's up?
Good evening, better late than never. Heading home from church, so we'll be lurking and driving. Well,
hey.
Hello there.
Just keep your eyes on the road. And everything will be okay. And it says, I want rummy nose. They don't ship well. Rummy nose tetras are pretty awesome. Flip Aquatics has rummy nose tetras. They have rummy nose rasboras. Both of them are great. And Flip has a method. In fact, if you were to go to, when we were there last time, we did a video and Rob showed how he acclimates his fish, especially the rummy nose tetra is especially important. It's actually the conversation that started that video topic was, I'm like, man, the rummy nose tetra, sometimes they just come in and they're just like, man, they go downhill so fast. He's like, oh, this is how I do how I introduce fish to the aquarium in general. And the reason he did that is because of the rummy nose they were kind of difficult at times. But he's got a solution for that seems to work. If you go back and like how to acclimate fish, Flip Aquatics, and you search it on our channel, that can be helpful. But yeah, you're right. They sometimes can be a little rough when bringing them in, trying to get them acclimated. Dave from Iowa, rainbows and Denison barbs. Be careful with the Denison barbs. Those are the ones I think you got with the shrimp. As they get bigger, like 6-7 inches, they might try to pick them off. Rainbows might too, but mostly just the babies. Misa says, that's an awesome video. Yeah, I like that too, because it was nice getting the perspective of someone who's bringing in thousands of fish every single week. And their job is, if they lose fish, if they don't acclimate them correctly, I mean, they're in big trouble. So it's kind of nice to get that perspective where it's not just like a hobbyist where, okay, well, I brought in 6 fish and it didn't work, and yeah, that really stunk, and I was looking forward to it, and I lost a little bit of money. But you bring in thousands and you mess that up, it goes wrong. It's a bigger problem.
Michael says, newbie here.
So glad you're here.
Yeah, welcome to the wonderful world of MTS. 29-gallon tank, some plants, community fish, 25% change, and a water change in vac. Gravel vac every Friday, test water Monday and Wednesday, never any changes in water parameters. Is this good, or should I wait longer to water change and gravel vac?
It depends on what you mean by never any changes in water parameters. If your nitrates are staying less than 20 parts per million, then yeah, maybe you can either cut down on the volume, or you can cut down on the number of water changes you're doing. So you said once a week? Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, if you're getting to a point where things are consistent, you're not getting a bunch of nitrate, then yeah, you can cut down a little bit if you want to. Like these tanks back here, what do they get? I think you've done a couple water changes on them since we've had them established. Maybe I've done one, and it's been over a year, but things are relatively balanced. There's not a super heavy stocking in here. There's a lot of plants, and it balances pretty well. So I always talk about nitrate being the barometer for decision making when it comes to how much water you're changing or how frequently, because that's basically telling you how much waste in the water is building up. So Let's see here. African orchid do plants remove KH from the water? I have a huge 20-foot plus pothos growing out of my 20-gallon guppy tank, and even though my tap water is hard and has KH, the tank reads pH 6.5, KH 0. Yeah, they can. I believe plants can remove some KH. I don't know if it does it that drastically. The CPDs are super difficult as well. Actually, it's funny because our CPDs, it's one of the hardiest fish that we bring in. I mean, we bring in 300-400 at a time, and so far, hopefully it stays this way. That's one of them where it's like we almost don't lose any of them. So I've been very happy with those. So it could have just been maybe a bad experience. Kevin says, "Are you guys going to Cataclysm in Milwaukee?" So is that I thought Cataclysm and ACA was going to be combined this year, and it was going to be in Madison. And if that is the case, yes, that we are planning on going to that. That'll be cool.
I just lost. Oh, this from Rebecca. I need help. Okay. I have a group of 6 pygmy cories. I went to buy another one last month and just recently noticed it's a salt and pepper cory. Should I get more salt and peppers so he's not lonely?
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt to add a couple, 2, 3 more. They're not super big fish, and they'll all get along okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Like-sized buddies.
Yeah, we've got the Habrosus in our fish room right now, chilling out.
They're so cute.
Those. What's funny about them, and it's I don't see this very often, but they're in the same tank as our chili rasboras, and I feed live baby brine. I love doing that. I love feeding live baby brine to all the rasboras. They go crazy for it, and so I feed that to the chilies. But the Habrosus, which normally feed at the bottom, boom, they go right up there, and they're all swimming around like all Cory cat-like, and they're eating the live baby brine, going crazy, and their little behinds are wiggling super fast. But a lot of them have figured out, hey, there's live baby brine in the water. Let's swim up there where all those other fish are. It's kind of cool. Ashley says, I have a 37-gallon tank with ick treated with aquarium salt and do a 10-gallon water change. Should I treat the replacement 10 gallons with more salt? Great question. Yeah, so once you add the salt, whatever concentration you used, every time you do a water change, add the salt back just for the amount of water that you are adding. And so you can maintain the same salt concentration. Yep. Hope everything works out okay. Crafty, I have a heater for my 10-gallon, and its lowest 65 degrees Fahrenheit setting keeps my water at 84. Is this too hot for most fish? No fish in it yet. Do I need to return it? I would return that for sure. Yeah, 84 is really pushing it. There are fish that will survive at 84, but not many fish that you would want to keep in a 10-gallon are going to thrive at that temperature. So, and plus, if that's as low as it's going, it's clearly broken. I mean, usually if a heater is off by 4 or 5 degrees, I'm okay with that. But if it's off by almost 20 degrees, it's like, where's it going to go from there? If you turn it up, it's going to be in the 90s. If anything happens to that heater, it's probably only going to shoot crazy high. So definitely be like, hey, this one's broken. Give me a new one. All right, everything's just skipped around. Blake, thank you so much for the super chat. Hi at Primetime Aquatics. What's up? I'm a first-time live, long-time watcher of your videos. Well, thank you for being here. Would an electric blue acara be too much of a risk for my cardinals in my 55-gallon? I have 6 congos and a bristlenose pleco as well. It depends on how big. So cardinal tetras can get somewhat large. When I did the cardinal tetra species profile, I featured those fish that were in a 3,000-gallon discus tank at the Wonders of Wildlife Aquarium in Springfield, Missouri. By the way, I've said this a million times. If you are ever near the Springfield, Missouri area, the Wonders of Wildlife Museum and Aquarium, which is associated with the Bass Pro Shops, is, to this point in my life, the best, especially freshwater public aquarium I have seen. Now, again, I have not been a world traveler. I haven't gone to all of them, but it is definitely the best one I've seen, pretty much by far. I could spend all day there. So I say all that because the cardinal tetras that were in that tank were full grown and they were very large. Too large, I would think, for most electric blue acara to even think about eating them. At the same time, it's a 55-gallon, not a 3,000-gallon, but 55-gallon is an adequate size for cardinal tetras to grow to full size. It's a risk. It is a risk. If your electric blue acara is small, like maybe get it at an inch, and your cardinal tetras are close to full grown, it's something you could try, but man, it would also potentially be an expensive fish food experiment because the electric blue acara full grown, I mean, they might get close to 6 inches. So at that size, their mouth isn't exactly tiny. You could see some cardinal tetras go missing. Congos are fine, but yeah, those cardinals, it's iffy. It's hit or miss. I'd hate to say yes and then in 6 months be like, hey man, thanks for that. My cardinal tetras, which were kind of expensive and we're healthy and we're doing awesome, they're gone now. So
Ashley says, hello from the Quad Cities. Great seeing you at the fish swap. The t-shirts all fit perfectly.
Good.
All three of them.
That's awesome. Thank you. Glad you were there.
Yeah, it's so sweet.
Cool.
That was fun.
All right, hold on. I saw something.
Oh, this is from Jason.
Okay.
Primetime Aquatics. Any knowledge on dwarf gourami disease?
I've never had to treat it. No.
That's the second time I've heard about that.
Yeah.
I just heard about it recently, too.
I don't know. I must have lucked out because the dwarf gouramis I've had, for the most part, have always been pretty healthy. I mean, we bring them in. They live for a number of years, and then I don't know what happens. Usually the dwarf gouramis wind up getting bloat after about, well, not all of them, but some of them after about 3 or 4 years, and then they're like, all right, I'm done. Go Brigley. I like that. Would 12 Congo tetras be good with electric blue acara in a 75 gallon? Definitely. That's a sweet mix. Yep. Congo tetras get big. Big by, what I mean by that is the males with all the fins and stuff, you could probably be pushing 2.5 inches at least, maybe 3. Great color too. You'll like that combination. That is a sweet combo. Tampa Fish. What would you put dwarf neon rainbows in a 20 long? If so, how many?
Would you put?
Yes. I read it the right way. I just didn't say it the right way, okay? Because just Diet Coke is eating away my brain cells. So would you put dwarf neon rainbows in a 20 long? I don't know if I would. I've got them in a 75 gallon right now with some other rainbows. And the only reason, it's not the size, it's the activity level. And they're very active and they like to swim around really fast. I'm sure, people do it. And it's not like I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you put the dwarf neon rainbows in a 20 long. It's not a horrible thing. I mean, you've still got a 30-inch tank. I tend not to do it just because I like to have them in groups, right? So you got 6 to 8, and I would prefer to have them in at least a 3-foot tank. And then, like I said, in the 75 gallon, they're just like, they're zooming all over the place. They get the zoomies a lot, for sure. Brett says, I have a 37 tall with 8 black neons, 12 neons, 3 Mickey Mollies. Would the 40-gallon centerpiece peaceful fish be okay? And also, is the centerpiece fish just 1 per tank or more? Good questions. So, 40 gallon, I'm trying to think what was in that video. Probably, I mean, the big difference is, so first of all, a 40-gallon breeder is actually 47 gallons. So the volume is not as close as we might think at first. The other thing with the 40-gallon is you're getting a lot of extra depth. And so length and, I should say width, not depth. So you're getting a lot of extra, in a 40-gallon breeder, you're getting 3 feet instead of 30 inches. And you're getting 18.5 inches wide instead of like the 12.5 inches for the 37. But the 37 is very tall. All that to say, I would try to stay on the smaller side of what we suggested in the 40-gallon breeder. And I probably would just do 1, or in some cases, if you want to breed. Like I said, I don't remember what was in that video. I think it was the Guayana, or was the last video, Guayana. I'm trying to think, but I wouldn't do more than a pair in the 37, but it's a cool tank. I like the 37s, like the tall ones. I was breeding Brichardi in that tank. Live bearers are really good because they tend to use a lot of the vertical in that relatively tall tank as well. It's kind of nice. All right, scrolling around here. Dees says, how would you go about getting a second-hand 125 ready? His fish died. A guppy I used to test was sick next morning with white stuff. So you're saying you think the tank might be contaminated, right? I think that's what we're thinking. Well, white stuff would indicate, and the next morning, fungi generally grow pretty slow, so it's probably some type of bacterial thing going on, but that's an awfully rapid decline to have even a bacterial thing happen, in such a short period of time. I can tell you what I did with my 125, and I'm not saying it's the way to do it, but it worked. I was having an issue with our 125 tank of death, and basically everything I was throwing in there was dying. I lost Geophagus wine milleri. I lost a bunch of red spot gold severums. Thought everything was okay. Threw more fish in there, and they all went as well. So what I wound up doing, with no fish in the tank, it was an established tank. It had some plants. I took the temperatures up to, I think it was close to 90 degrees. I added in triple doses of Copper Safe and, Levamisol and General Cure, like 3 times what the recommended dose is. And I maintained those dosages for about 3 weeks. Then I put the temperatures back down. I changed out the filter media, figuring, I probably wiped out most of the beneficial bacteria, and I never had a problem again. So it's either that or you're going to have to empty out the tank, get new substrate, clean out the filter, and do all this stuff. I'm like, I didn't want to do that. It's a pain, it's a 125-gallon tank. That's not exactly a fun thing to do, but I used that at a high concentration, and I told a story before. I didn't realize there was a bristlenose pleco in that tank. I felt so horrible. I thought I'd pulled all the fish out, and there was one, and he survived all that. 90 degrees with triple the dosages of, like I said, Copper Safe, Levamisol, General Cure, I think was a trio that I used. But never had a problem with it again. And it says columnaris can hit that fast. Yeah, that's true. All right, let me see here. We'll answer a couple more. Oh my gosh, this one went by really fast.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yep. Steve says, Amy and I took your advice and attended our first swap at our local club, the Missouri Aquarium Society. This past weekend had such a fun time. We bought a family membership. Thank you. Well, that's awesome. So hopefully, Steve, we'll see you next month when we head out there on the 20th. That would be pretty cool. That would be pretty darn cool. African orchid dude. That pleco saw some stuff. Yeah, that poor fish. And it's still there because at that point when I turned everything down, I did my water changes to bring the levels back down. He's still in that tank, living a life, but I felt, oh my gosh, did I feel bad. I'm like, because it was after I started getting everything and changing out the filter mean, I kind of moved some stuff around and he swam out. I'm like, oh, no. Oh, that was horrible. Yep. Kayla says, is it safe to add a light on the top of a tank for black skirt tetras as well as a heater, or is there a way to ease them into it? I don't really worry about it. I mean, you've got to have a tank at the proper temperature anyway, so just make sure. Now, if your black skirt tetras are, let's say, in the low 70s, yeah, you want to bring them slowly over the course of a couple days up to, like, let's say 76, 77, just to be on the safe side. Lights just come on. Lights are lights. So I generally don't worry about the lighting situation. Let's see. Tom says, I have 5 gallon with 8 endlers and a gudgeon. Am I at a limit for fish? Yeah, I would say so. Endlers are tiny, super active. We've had endlers in a 5 gallon before, 5.5 gallon. And they're just going all over the place. Peacock gudgeon's a very small fish, but I don't know if I probably wouldn't add any more. But I'm sure it's a lot of action and a lot of color too.
Chris says, I've been cycling a 14-gallon cube and it's ready for fish. I already know I want rice fish and have been planning on CPDs too. I'm stumped on bottom fish. Any recommendations?
Pygmy cories. Yeah.
Pygmy cories.
Pygmy cories. In a 14-gallon, I would probably add a clown pleco. By the way, I saw, and I meant to answer this before we went through all the giveaway stuff about the rubber nose pleco, and I think there was a comment in there somewhere. I don't remember who asked it, if they're even still here, about the rubber nose pleco eating blackbeard algae. Now, I haven't kept rubber nose plecos in probably 4 or 5 years. I don't remember them eating blackbeard algae, but I also don't remember if there was blackbeard algae in the tank. The one fish for sure that will eat blackbeard algae is the Siamese algae eater, because we have 2 very large ones that I've moved from a 20 gallon into the 125 that had a fair amount of blackbeard algae, and those fish basically cleared off the back glass already, and I've noticed some of the driftwood is getting a little low on blackbeard as well. But there's a lot of food competition in that tank because I've got 2 Vieja Argentea, which are larger cichlids, and a ton of silver dollars in there, which eat very, very quickly. So it's like the Siamese algae eaters have to try to compete with those fish to eat, and there's a lot of blackbeard there, and they will definitely take care of it. Flagfish are break about.
Yeah,
eating blackbeard.
flagfish
Great.
eat algae too.
Yeah, you know what? Mine are not. They're kind of being horrible at their job because I've got a couple of them in my 75 because I wanted them to eat the green hair algae, and they're just not. And in the 125, I'm like, dudes, come on. I kind of scale it all back and get it, a little bit low, and then all of a sudden, it comes back. I'm like, you guys are supposed to be eating this stuff, but yeah. The Siamese algae eaters are great. Oh my gosh, Second Floor Aquatics, thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Hey guys, wanted to say thanks for all the valuable information you guys provide to your viewers. Both of y'all's channels have made such an impact on so many people's enjoyment of the hobby, especially ours. See you in Dallas. Cannot wait. Hopefully, are you going to be there for the Friday night thing?
Oh,
that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, you guys are.
Be there.
You have to be.
Y'all, if you're going to the Dallas or Daytona and they do the VIP Friday night thing, it would be awesome because we'll just sit around at a big old table
Talk
and
fish.
shoot the breeze. Yep, talk fish, talk life. That's the fun Friday night thing, and it's not so loud, which is pretty cool.
Like, it's pretty chill.
The Saturday mornings and the Sunday mornings when you're actually at the thing. So one of the benefits of doing the VIP pass is, you get to get there early, but there's a decent amount of people there. The Friday night one is a more kind of like an intimate setting where there's food and it's a little bit quieter and you can hear people talking a little bit easier.
You can hear people.
Yeah, you can hear people, which is really nice. And Friday night, my voice isn't gone yet, right? So, oh, you know what they did? They did it to me again. I'm speaking. Think about this. Sunday at 1 o'clock. What happens to me by Sunday at 1 o'clock?
Oh, yeah, your voice isn't
I'm going to
so
sound
good.
like Darth Vader. I'm like, okay, everybody. My voice is completely gone. I'm going to have to do voice workouts before that whole situation happens. Yep.
Whips World says first-time commenter, long-time listener.
Of course you are.
I believe the second part. I went cheap on lighting and bought 2 4-foot shop lights for 2 long-time established tanks. The algae is insane.
Yeah,
What
sometimes
do I
those
do?
things can be a little bit bright.
That's why I get some algae back there. The lights are
Yeah.
too bright. Yeah.
They're shop lights? You
Yeah.
said? You could try putting them on if you can buy an external, plug it into a dimmer. Try that. That could be a way to go otherwise.
Or unplug them.
Or unplug them. Yeah. Or what winds up happening, or get a bunch of duckweed if your fish won't eat it. That'll dim it a little bit. Or you wait for your filters to kick up water on the inside under parts of your lids, and then you get the coating of green hair, or not green hair, but the green algae up there. That will dim it as well.
Oh, boy.
But if you can put them on a dimmer, that would be awesome. For sure. Oh my gosh, things just jumped around. I'm like, where? Hold on, I saw something. Second floor. We'll be there all weekend. Looking forward to it. Awesome.
Yay.
That's cool. Chris says, are you working on a coffee table book for families keeping fish right? I'm working on a coffee table book about coffee tables. There's going to be little legs that swing out. All right. Shh. Anybody know what that's from?
Of course.
It's a coffee table book about coffee tables.
Well, of course.
Yeah. Levels. You're not going to do it. I am going to do it. You're not going to do it, and you won't do it.
Whip already has it.
All right, Seinfeld.
So's Ken.
All right.
So's
You're making
Cheryl.
me feel. Holy cow! Yeah. I knew there was a reason why I like
Kramer.
wonderful people. I love it. Jay says, in my 20 long, I had 10 chili raspberries. I added 10 green kubatai. Sweet. Now the chilies are schooling in one upper corner. No mixing. Why?
Yeah, they can do that.
Yeah. First of all, give it some time, and they'll get comfortable around one another. We've had that combination before. No issues there. But the chilies they'll find a place where they feel safe, right? Until they figure things out. Are these other fish going to be mean to us? Are they going to call us names? And then once they figure things out, sometimes they'll come back out and still probably stay in a group, but go to other parts of the tank. But that's a very normal thing for them to do sometimes. Matthew says, remember when Elaine had the goldfish in the parking garage? Oh my gosh, and they were looking for a ride? Yeah, because they couldn't find the car.
Oh, I remember that.
Remember? And that's when Jerry and Costanza got in trouble for making wee-wees in a parking garage.
I don't remember that part.
Oh my gosh,
Okay,
they
sorry.
lost their car. I remember that. All right, we'll do a couple more here. A couple more, and then we're going to call it an evening. Thomas says, I got a 55-gallon planted with 10 rainbows. Sweet. Yellow Bosemani, New Guinea, 3 each, and 6 cories and a pandagar. You think I'm at my limit? Nope, I don't think so. I think you've got some centerpiece fish that you're going to probably want to add to that tank, because you got the rainbows doing their thing. And mid-water, top water, you got the cory cats and the pandagar. I think it'd be pretty cool to have some type of a centerpiece fish, and you could use the top 5 centerpiece fish for a 55 gallon to figure that situation out, because pretty much every fish we mentioned in that video would go well with the 10 rainbows and the 3 cory cats, for sure. What's all right, what do you say? Should we call it an evening?
Calling it.
But Tom says we should try and convince the Schomburg Boomers to build a big tank in the stadium.
Oh, could you imagine a bunch of orange fish?
We would be totally up for that. Like right when you walk in, like in that area, where you, like before you go to the gift shop, big old fish tank. Yeah.
Yell, Brett, this one's named after you.
All right, everybody. We're going to call it an evening because it's getting late. It's already 9:30 Central Standard Time. I'm sure it's late by you guys as well. But thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to everybody who hung out. A lot of good questions tonight. You know we're going to be back same time, same place next Wednesday. Thank you for all the super chats and new members. Hope you enjoyed the experience. We'll have a video out for you tomorrow. And for the moderators for holding down the fort, it was an awesome night. We will see you hopefully next same time, same place next Wednesday. Have a great week.
Bye,
everybody. Press the button.